She said, "It's not cheating, he's just my trainer." Then I saw the footage, his hands on her hips, in our bedroom, teaching her how to arch her back for him. That lying slut turned our home into a playground. So I decided to teach them both a lesson they'd never forget. I never liked the smell of protein powder. It always lingered, a chalky, artificial scent that clung to her gym bag and seeped into the hallway before she got home. At first, I thought it was a sign of discipline. Now, I know it was the stench of betrayal. Melanie started seeing Trevor 8 months ago. Private strength training, she called it. Twice a week, 3 times if she needed to blow off steam. At first, I encouraged it, thought it was good for her mental health, something to help her unwind from the stress at the bank. I didn't realize she was winding herself around another man. Trevor was lean, tanned, always wearing that smug half-grin that made you want to rearrange his teeth. I met him once, briefly. He shook my hand and said, "Your wife's got potential." At the time, I took it as a compliment. Now, I hear it for what it really was, a message. She wasn't working out. She was being trained, broken down and rebuilt in his image. The signs were there, subtle but sharp if you knew where to look. Her phone, once left charging by the couch, now never left her side. Her workouts left her too tired for sex. She'd shower the second she came home, like she needed to scrub his scent off before I got close. She wasn't always like this. Melanie used to hum when she cooked. She'd curl up next to me on the couch, head on my chest, feet cold against my thigh. We talked about buying a cabin one day, a small place near the lake where we could grow old, read books, and drink wine by the fire. Now, she was a stranger in my kitchen. Still beautiful, painfully so, with those long legs and sharp features that made other men look twice. But her eyes. Flat. Like she was constantly somewhere else. And I finally knew where. I noticed the camera by accident. It was one of those small, motion-triggered security cams I'd installed myself a year back, after a break-in down the hall. I never checked the footage, there was never a reason to. Until one night, Melanie left her laptop open in the kitchen. The screen flickered awake when I walked past. The tab was still open, our security portal, logged in and frozen on a thumbnail. It was our bedroom. Trevor's back to the lens. Melanie on the bed, not looking distressed, not pushing him away. She was smiling. Her arms wrapped around his neck as he leaned in, whispering something just out of audio range. She giggled. I didn't click play. I closed the screen and walked out of the apartment. Didn't slam the door. Didn't say a word. Just stood in the hallway, breathing through my nose, my fists twitching like they wanted to grab something, anything. That night, I slept in my car. Not because I had to. But because I couldn't stomach lying next to her. The next morning, she kissed my cheek and said, "You should try meditation. You've been so tense lately." Tense. That's the word she used while letting another man sweat on my sheets. So I made a decision. Not a tantrum. Not some cinematic explosion. Just a shift, quiet, surgical. I started recording. Watching patterns. Listening between her words. Melanie thought she was clever. That she could juggle 2 lives and I'd stay the loyal, clueless husband holding her coat. She was wrong. And I was just getting started. The first thing I did was move the camera. Not dramatically, just adjusted the angle slightly so it captured more of the bed. I positioned it high, nestled behind a forgotten row of books on the top shelf. I tested it during the day while she was at work. The footage came through crisp, clear. I labeled the feed, air purifier, so she'd never notice. I didn't need hours of footage. I needed moments, proof, timestamps, patterns. And Melanie, the cheating bitch she is, gave them to me willingly. Tuesdays and Thursdays. Sometimes Sunday mornings, if he wanted to work on her breathing. The second time I caught them, it was worse. They weren't just fucking. They were laughing. Comfortable. Like they belonged there. Like I was the stranger in my own home. He unzipped her hoodie, peeled it off like a gift he'd been given 1,000 times. She didn't flinch. Just smiled up at him, eyes soft, trusting. That was when I started writing everything down, times, sounds, details. Her lipstick on the pillowcase. The second toothbrush that appeared overnight. His cologne. I know it now. Spice and musk and sweat. It clung to the room long after he left. She called him Trev. Like they had their own language. Not cheating, she'd say. We're just close. He understands me. Right. Because apparently, understanding now includes unbuttoning my wife's jeans while standing 2 feet from the nightstand where I keep our wedding photo. She kept up the act at home. Still made dinner sometimes. Still asked how my day was. But her eyes stayed elsewhere. Glazed. Like she was reciting a role in a play she no longer wanted to be in. I started answering in monosyllables. Not out of anger. Out of observation. I wanted her to think I was distracted, tired, distant. And she bought it. That's the thing about liars, they assume everyone else is as blind as they are. She stopped wearing her ring on gym days. Too tight when I lift, she said. Bullshit. I bought that ring for her after working 72 hours straight, back when I still thought we were building a future. Now, it was a paperweight. A symbol she no longer respected. I kept my cool. I had to. She didn't know I had already spoken to a lawyer. That I'd already pulled copies of our financials, traced her spending, locked in my options. New bank account. New passwords. Quiet moves. Surgical. One night, I slipped up, almost. She came home early. I was in the office, watching the latest feed, earbuds in. She creaked open the door. What are you watching? She asked. I closed the tab in one click, pulled up a medical video. CME credits, I said. Boring stuff. She smirked. You work too hard. Yeah. Too hard to see what was right in front of me. That night, she climbed into bed and curled beside me. Her head on my chest like nothing had changed. Like she wasn't still damp from another man. I didn't move. Didn't speak. Just stared at the ceiling, listening to the camera's faint whir across the room. I wasn't ready yet. But soon. She thought she was winning. Thought I was slipping deeper into denial. But the truth was simple, I'd seen everything I needed. And I was preparing the final lesson. Trevor started leaving traces, little ones, arrogant ones. A water bottle in the trash with his company logo. A strand of blonde hair on my pillow, lighter than Melanie's. He wasn't even trying to hide it anymore. And Melanie? She doubled down on the lie. Told me she was considering a wellness retreat in Vermont, a weekend getaway, just to clear her head. She didn't ask if I wanted to come. Didn't even pretend. I nodded and said, sounds like a good idea. She kissed me. On the cheek. Like I was her brother. That weekend, I installed a second camera. Hidden inside the smoke detector. Facing the bedroom door this time. I wanted angles. I wanted precision. I stopped engaging. Emotionally, physically, conversationally. And she noticed. You've been distant lately, she said one night, fork pushing untouched salad around her plate. Busy at work. You're off 3 days a week now. I'm thinking about going back full-time. She nodded like she believed me. But I saw the flicker, a flash of unease, buried just deep enough. She was starting to sense something. Not guilt. Just nerves. The difference between a woman caught and a woman scared she's being watched. So she pivoted. Turned up the affection, small touches, surprise dinners, even wore lingerie one night. But it was all strategy. Her eyes never lined up with her hands. I played along. Let's take a trip, she offered. You and me. Somewhere quiet. I agreed. Good idea. She smiled. Then texted Trevor under the table. I heard the buzz, and I had already mirrored her phone to my work tablet weeks ago. He's buying it, she wrote. Told you he's too checked out to care. I didn't react. Just looked her in the eye and said, I'll handle the reservations. That night, I lay beside her, watching her sleep. Her body twisted in the sheets like a lover's knot. And I realized, she wasn't sorry. She wanted to get caught, not by me, but by someone else. She needed conflict. Needed drama. I was just the background noise to her performance. I started talking to her friends. Casually. Quietly. At brunches, events, the gym. I planted questions. Has Melanie seemed stressed lately? Think she's okay? I let the seed grow, subtle reverse triangulation. If she wanted whispers, I'd give her something worth whispering about. I even reached out to Trevor's wife. Created a burner email. Attached a single photo, Melanie in our bed, her wedding ring on the nightstand, Trevor's back arched over her. No caption. No explanation. Let them tear each other apart. Melanie kept lying. Kept smiling. Kept planning her fake little retreat. But the walls were inching in. And I was done playing husband. Melanie's retreat weekend finally came. She left early Friday morning, suitcase rolling behind her, gym bag slung over one shoulder. She kissed me on the forehead, not the lips, and said, "Don't wait up Sunday night." I watched from the window as she got in her car. 10 minutes later, Trevor's truck pulled up. They didn't even try to hide it. She ditched her car 2 blocks down, hopped into his passenger seat like it was the most natural thing in the world. I recorded it all. She thought she was vanishing into her fantasy weekend. But I knew exactly where they were going. I'd tracked the Airbnb reservation from her email weeks ago. The same burner account she thought I didn't know about. An old password she never changed. A rookie mistake. The place was in Lake George, remote, cozy, supposedly unplugged. But I called ahead. I booked the neighboring cabin. Paid in cash. No records. Just a quiet man with a camera bag and a plan. They checked in an hour later. I watched them from across the trees. They laughed the whole time. Like this was a honeymoon. Melanie wore that pink hoodie she always claimed she hated. Turns out, she just didn't like it with me. I filmed them unloading groceries, candles, a goddamn Bluetooth speaker. They were playing house while I documented every frame. Later that night, they lit a fire. Sat close. Toasted marshmallows. He leaned in. She whispered something. Then they disappeared into the cabin. I didn't follow. I didn't need to. The next morning, I drove home. Left everything intact. When Melanie returned Sunday night, I was exactly where she expected me, half asleep on the couch, a documentary humming low in the background. She dropped her bag, kissed my head again, and said, "Miss me?" I looked up. "Didn't notice you were gone." Her smile cracked, just for a second. Then she nodded, disappeared into the shower. That's when I made my final move. I sent the full drive to my lawyer. A silent drop. Along with the mirrored messages, time-stamped photos, financial inconsistencies. I documented everything. The prenup clause on infidelity. Her fake wellness receipts. The joint account charges she didn't realize I could trace. I didn't confront her. I didn't yell. That would have given her power. Instead, I pulled her oxygen. I stopped doing the groceries. Let the fridge empty. Stopped replying to her texts unless necessary. When her gym membership auto-renewed, I removed my name from the shared card. She started to feel it, the slow bleed. "Is something wrong?" she asked one night, mascara smudged, tone thinner than usual. I just shrugged. "You tell me." She watched me that night like a stranger. And that's exactly what she was. Next step, exposure. Quiet. Surgical. Public. And irreversible. I waited until Tuesday morning to trigger the collapse. She left for work early, like always. Coffee in her travel mug, lipstick just right, heels clicking down the hallway like nothing was wrong. She didn't know the locks were scheduled to change that afternoon. I gave the locksmith her name, her photo, and strict instructions. No entry. No exceptions. Then I opened the email folder labeled Final. Inside were all the attachments I'd spent months collecting. Photos. Videos. Screenshots. Audio clips. Message transcripts. Even the gym sign-in logs, she really used her own membership while screwing her trainer in our home. I sent it to her boss first. Subject line, Professional Conduct of Melanie R. Taft, Urgent Review. No explanation. Just the full packet. Time-stamped. Verified. She worked at a bank. They take integrity seriously. Then I sent the same package to Trevor's wife. This time with a personal note. You deserve better than a man who trains in bedrooms. Thought you should see what he does when he says he's working late. And then I waited. I sat in the living room, sipping coffee, watching the feed on my phone. The moment Melanie's phone lit up at 11:06 a.m., her hands stopped typing. Her face dropped. She stood slowly, walked out of frame. 15 minutes later, she was on the road. By noon, I got the call. It wasn't her, it was the bank's HR department. Is this Donald Taft? Yes. We'd like to speak to you regarding some information we've received concerning Melanie Taft's personal conduct and potential misuse of work hours and resources. I let them talk. By 2 p.m., Trevor's wife replied. Just one sentence. You're not the only one who's been preparing. She attached divorce papers. Turns out she'd been building her own file for a while, she just needed the final proof. At 3:23 p.m., Melanie came home. Early. Furious. The door didn't open. She banged on it. Rang the bell over and over. I didn't answer. I watched through the peephole as she yelled my name. Called my phone. Left voicemails that swung from angry to panicked. You changed the locks. Are you serious? Then, don't do this. We can talk. Then, Don, you're scaring me. That last one almost made me laugh. She wasn't scared for me. She was scared for herself. I let her stay out there. 5 minutes. 10. Long enough for the neighbors to look. Then I opened the door. Just enough to speak. You're not welcome here. Don, please, we can fix this. You had your sessions. Consider this your final lesson. She started crying. Not sobbing, calculated, performative. I closed the door. Locked it. And turned off the porch light. She came back the next morning. No heels. No makeup. Hoodie pulled over her head like it could shield her from consequences. She stood outside the apartment door for 20 minutes, trying every tactic. First, the soft knock. The "I'm sorry" voice. Then anger, fists pounding, voice raised. Don, this isn't fair. You don't get to do this. Actually, I did. And I already had. Inside, I reviewed the file one more time. Everything cataloged. Digital folders named, timestamps in military time. My lawyer had already initiated proceedings. Grounds, adultery with evidence. Melanie's voice cracked through the door. We can go to therapy. I'll do anything. Therapy. She once said therapy was for people who didn't want to take responsibility. Now she wanted to weaponize it. I almost admired the pivot. I opened the door just a crack. You're being served on Friday. You'll find the documents at work. Tell HR to expect a copy. She stared at me like I was a stranger. Maybe I was. Or maybe I'd just stopped being the version of me she thought she could cheat on without consequence. You can't just throw away everything, she whispered. I'm not. You already did. I shut the door again. Later that day, my attorney confirmed delivery of all materials. She'd be hit in one sweep, legally, professionally, financially. I made sure of that. The bank had opened an internal investigation. She accessed her personal messages on a company device. Stupid move. Violation of policy. Grounds for termination. Trevor. His wife didn't just serve him, she froze the business account and took their kids to her sisters. Turns out, she'd been documenting for nearly a year. She just needed my footage to finish her case. And me. I didn't gloat. I packed. I rented a storage unit, moved my essentials out, transferred the lease into my name, and scheduled a locksmith to install a high-security system the day the divorce papers hit her desk. She sent one final text. "You're being cruel. I made a mistake, but I didn't deserve this. Didn't deserve this. 2 years of deception. Sex in my bed. Lying through her teeth while pretending to love me. Cruel" was what she did with a moan and a laugh while I was saving lives. I didn't reply. She sent another. "You're not who I married." She was right. I'd become someone colder. Sharper. Free. Friday hit like a loaded gun. I timed it perfectly. Melanie arrived at work, same as usual, coffee, phone in hand, heels tapping across the marble lobby like she still ran the place. What she didn't know was that her email access had already been revoked. HR had the envelope on her desk before she even logged in. The footage was included. All of it. The hallway camera. The bed. Her whispers. She didn't make it past 10:15 a.m. before they called her in. I know this because her coworker, Kim, the only one I ever trusted, sent me a single text. "She's unraveling in conference room B. You broke her without touching her." Exactly the point. Melanie was walked out quietly before lunch. No grand scene. No yelling. Just a woman who played with fire and got third-degree burns to her reputation. A banker without integrity is a liability. They made it clean. The same hour, a courier dropped a second envelope at the gym where Trevor trained. This one was addressed to the owner. Inside, screenshots of him using company time and gym premises for personal affairs. Also, a copy of the sexual misconduct clause from their employee handbook, with the highlighted section on clients and inappropriate contact. I made sure it landed in front of his coworkers, too. Revenge isn't about noise. It's about precision. That night, Melanie came home, or tried to. She still had her old key. Didn't work. She banged on the door again, more desperate this time. "I lost my job, Don. They said there were videos. What did you do?" I opened the window, leaned out just far enough for her to see my face. "I taught you what consequences look like. You ruined my life." "No. You handed it to me in pieces. I just showed everyone what it looked like." She screamed then. A raw, animal sound, not for pain, but for loss of control. I watched her break, then quietly closed the blinds. The next day, Trevor's truck was repossessed. His name showed up on the local forum, a whisper campaign from former clients sharing screenshots, timelines, complaints. One even offered to testify for inappropriate conduct during a private session. His wife filed full custody. I didn't even have to speak to him. His life unraveled under its own lies. Melanie's friends went quiet. Her social accounts vanished. Her gym access got revoked. Even her sister, the one who used to send me heart emojis, texted me a one-liner. "Whatever she told you, I always knew she was poison." Monday morning, the final lockout. I stood in the kitchen, watching the sun rise through the half-open blinds. The apartment was cleaner now. Quieter. No trace of her perfume, no bobby pins on the sink, no more gym bag slumped by the door like a ticking bomb. At 8:45 a.m., the email hit her inbox. Subject: termination of joint lease and property access. I listed every item she was no longer entitled to, every key, every card, every shred of access. I detailed what had already been returned, what was being held, and what had been shredded. She had 60 minutes to pick up a single box I'd left with the doorman. Inside, her work ID, her wedding ring, and a printed photo of her and Trevor in my bed, not explicit, just damning. She never saw the camera. Never noticed the angle. I included a handwritten note. "You were right. He taught you discipline. Lesson 1, every rep has a cost." By 9:30 a.m., I had a call from her lawyer. We received notice of the lease termination and the divorce terms. Melanie's distraught. I didn't respond. He kept talking. "She's willing to negotiate. If there's a way to avoid public litigation, she'd like to keep this discreet." Discreet. After what she did. I declined. "Tell her I've already accepted every loss." The only thing left for her to lose is the illusion. Then I hung up. Later that afternoon, I passed her building. Her car was parked outside, but she wasn't inside it. She sat on the curb, staring at her phone like it might offer a different ending. She looked smaller. Deflated. Not broken, just finally real. She saw me. Stood up. Started walking toward me. Dawn. I didn't stop. Didn't speak. Just walked past her like she was a stranger. She was. Trevor. Last I heard, he was crashing at a friend's studio. His wife locked him out, took the house, and filed civil damages for business misconduct. His landscaping company dropped off Google entirely, too many one-star reviews, too many receipts circulating. Neither of them messaged me again. Neither dared. They knew the truth now. This wasn't revenge. It was resolution. Clean. Final. And deserved. 3 weeks later, the silence finally felt like peace. The apartment was different now, not just emptier, but cleaner in a way that felt earned. I replaced the mattress. Got rid of the couch she picked. Even tossed out the goddamn salt lamp she claimed balanced the energy. Turns out, the only thing it ever balanced was her excuses. The walls stopped echoing her voice. My phone stayed quiet. No more half-truths disguised as check-ins. No more working late texts. No more lies dressed as logistics. Melanie's name became background noise, something people whispered about, then quickly changed the subject. Her bank removed her headshot from the website. Her friends stopped tagging her in anything public. Even the local fitness center quietly posted a new client guidelines sheet with a clause that read like it was written just for her. I didn't gloat. I donated her yoga mat. Trevor. Word is, he tried to rebrand under a different company name, but the city's too small for that kind of lie. No one hires the guy who got caught on hidden cam in another man's bed. His kids stopped using his last name at school. That hit harder than anything I could have planned. As for me, I went back to work. Full-time. Steady hands, clear head. No distractions. Patients come in broken. I fix them. That part never changed. But now, I come home to quiet. To order. To dignity. I bought a small bonsai tree. Set it on the windowsill where she used to hang her planner. I trim it every Sunday, methodically, patiently. It's the opposite of her, quiet, honest, alive. Sometimes I think about that footage. The moment she threw it all away for some shallow thrill. But I don't watch it. I don't need to. I lived it once. That was enough. The final text she ever sent me. Do you really hate me that much? I didn't answer. Not because I hate her. Because there was nothing left to say. Closure doesn't come in words. It walks out, quietly, and locks the door behind it.